Bangers in the chat. We are back. Welcome back, fine people of YouTube or Twitter or the podcast sphere. Welcome back to King Pilled. I am Matt. I am your host and humble narrator today. And that very odd looking character over there, odd looking duck, isn't it? That is Cooper. Cooper, how you doing, sir?
I am well. I am well.
Excellent.
All things considered, I am well.
That's very good. I'm good to hear. I'm good to hear that.
You're good to hear that?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear a funny story?
Yes.
So, so I went to the gym. Not yet. Was it yesterday? Yesterday or the day before? I don't remember what day it is. Yesterday. Yesterday was Monday.
Yes.
They all blur together. So Xavier and I go to
The
the
life
gym.
of a businessman.
That's right. Xavier and I went to the gym yesterday, and we were trying to target the old glutes. And we succeeded in doing that because today when I got home, I sat down to take a quick piss, and it was like my legs almost fell off.
Like when you sat down or when you tried to stand up?
No, when I sat down.
So I have to ask on behalf of the people because this is a whole thing.
Yeah.
You say that you sat down to take a piss.
Yeah.
Is this a common occurrence?
No, that was the joke.
Okay.
You wouldn't get it. You're old.
Yeah.
You don't understand my humor.
Yeah, no, I'm the resident old man here. See, I actually am a very regular sit down to peer.
Oh, really?
And yes. I am an ardent fan of sitting down to pee. You know why?
Why?
Because these old legs do a whole hell of a lot of walking every day. And if I get a chance to just sit down, relax, pull out the old phone, scroll through the Zeter app and see some Zeets, everyone's terrible posts out there. Actually, that reminds me of a tweet that I did that made me laugh. I think it made me laugh more than it made anyone else laugh, but I'm going to make you guys put up with it.
You see the problem. When you get on your phone while you're sitting down on the toilet, the problem is that your legs fall asleep because you kind of get lost in the doom scroll.
Uh-huh.
You try to stand up and then your legs are asleep.
Yeah, so this is me opening Twitter on this fine morning to read all y'all's terrible takes. Old man's got this is genius. He's got himself a little eating platform. He's got naturally hangs around his neck. He might even put a little foam up here around the neck there to just kind of ease the edge. And he's perfect. Sit and watch some TV. Yeah, it reminds me of when my mom was pregnant with my younger siblings. She used to eat a lot of salads, and she would get this big bowl of salad, and she would literally just set it on top of her belly, and just used her belly as like a little countertop, and so you just set it there and then eat it.
While she was pregnant?
Uh-huh.
That explains so much about your brother.
Yes. Shout out to Wesley. You guys may meet Wesley someday. We'll find out. We've got to get him. We've got to lure him out of the shadows, as it were. Yeah, it does look like George Lucas. That's funny. What up to the people in the chat? Glonk Respector, I see you, man. Bill Hicks, Ryan Isaac, Conrad. It's good to see all of you guys. The view to like ratio. It's actually, I think it was better when he posted that, but right now we got 26 viewers and 13 likes. So I guess 50% isn't too bad to start. Get those likes up for us, folks. Please pay us in YouTube currency. What's up, Buck Johnson? Buck Johnson in the chat.
I am your host and humble narrator, Buck Johnson.
Yes.
Of the Counterflow podcast.
Mm-hmm. I've almost, a couple times when we've had a guest on, I've almost opened the show, like with Bog Beef, I almost did this. I almost opened the show talking with the intro that Oren always uses. But I can never remember the exact phrasing of it, and I don't want to fuck it up. So I always I've done this on 3 guests now, where I've been prepared to say that, and then I can't remember the exact phrasing, and I chicken out at the last minute.
Pussy.
Yeah, little inside baseball for you guys.
Non-committal.
So, Revenge of the Chuds. What so we can prime the audience for our message today. You and I were talking about this earlier, and you had some thoughts on when I mentioned the Chuds. You had some thoughts about the Chuds. What are your Chud thoughts, Cooper?
At what point do you want me to share the story about the gay dude?
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. First, okay, so put a pin in the Chud talk for a minute, and we're gonna talk about a gay guy.
So I drive a semi truck. That's what I do. I'm a truck driver. You know, made my family proud. Anyway, so I was this last week, the end of last week, beginning of this week, I was training a new guy. This new guy is like a 45-year-old married homosexual. Nice enough guy. Strikes me as rather vanilla for a gay dude.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's like a Dave Rubin gay.
Yeah, kind of like that. Maybe even a little more conservative than that.
I didn't ask you this, but like, how did this come up? Was he just like, hey,
how
what's
did I
up?
know it?
Yeah,
Okay,
hey, what's
how
up?
did I know
I'm
he was
Kevin
gay?
and I'm gay.
No. So in the morning, I was sitting with one of the other drivers doing my paperwork, and the trainee, my boss, told him to ride with me that day. And he walks up, and he just like, don't mind me, I'm just gonna be a nosy bitch real quick. And
Oh,
I was like, oh, this guy's gay. In my head, I'm like, this guy's gay.
uh-huh.
He came up, and he's like, just kind of leaning into our conversation, seeing what's going on. I'm gonna be a nosy bitch. Like, yeah, he's gay. And then later in the day, we were just like out on the road, getting to know one another, like introducing myself and stuff. Like, oh yeah, where are you from? Oh, I'm from the area. Are you from the area? Oh yeah. Just making small talk. And he asked how long I've been married, how many kids I have, and I returned the same questions. I asked him, how long have you been married? And he's like, well, as long as it's been legal, if you catch my drift. I'm like, yeah, I know. You didn't answer my question. I said, how long have you been married? And he was like, wait, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, I know. How long have you been married? And so I don't remember, but he was shocked. He was shocked, perplexed that I knew he was gay. And I'm like, the first thing you said to me when you came up to me was like, I'm just going to be a nosy bitch over here. Don't mind me.
Wait, how do you know I'm gay?
Doing that little up talk thing. And yeah, you kind of had this sort of like sway with your walk.
Random username says this episode will be replayed during an HR meeting. Well, you wait. This story still has something to it.
Oh yeah. But he was perplexed that I was able to figure out that he was gay, because I guess he tries to downplay the overly flamboyant stuff. Anyway, nice enough guy. But so a couple days go by, and
I gotta say real quick, just for the people in the chat, in case you're wondering how this could be possible that Cooper would have such highly refined gaydar, you got to remember that he was born and raised in Michigan, so it's kind of part of the territory there.
Yeah. Aren't you from like California or something? What are you talking about? Didn't you live in Canada? What do you mean?
Washington, Canada, and California.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make up for it.
I'm the hotbed of homosexual culture.
Anyways, okay, so sorry I interrupted you. You were describing your interactions with your new gay friend.
More like bitch again. That was pretty good. Normally, I do not tolerate insults against the great northern state of Michigan, because we're going to be the empire, and I'm going to be emperor, dominating all of you someday. But that was pretty good. You made me laugh. Okay, so a couple days go by. We're trading. I'm training him. He's, it's going fine.
You're training him. He's training you.
That's right. And getting a little more comfortable, because they're like, oh, this brand new guy I've never met before, and we've already gone through the small talk and stuff. So politics come up. We have a conversation about politics, and to his credit, he has a shit lip, obviously, because he's a 45-year-old married gay man. Yeah, he's a shit lip. But to his credit, he was a little more nuanced. Like he's not a big fan of the Troonies. Because which I think makes sense because he grew up.
This is
back
that
when we used to get beat up.
2-bit, that 2-bit neotrad thing. Like he's the acceptable gay, and he doesn't want to have the degenerate gays.
I don't think it was that. It's not
it.
I don't think it's the degeneracy that bothers him. Because come on, but
true.
It was, I don't know. He was gay before it was cool. I guess you could say. Getting beat up for being gay and stuff. And he's like a
hipster gay.
Thing? Yeah, kind of like that. And then he sees this sort of this fad. And he's like, this is basically. He actually had the exact same theory about it that I did. So we were on the same wavelength. Where I was just like, all the transmission stuff is just. It's just our generation's version of anorexia or cutting or whatever. It's just the most recent social contagion for, I don't know, online autists or insecure girls, Anyway, so he tells me a story because I put forth the...
I thought the same thing, Athanasius. Athanasius says, oh, you said fad. Fad with a D.
Yeah, fad. So then I ask him, or I put forth, I was wandering into some dangerous territory with a prompt like this, but I said, okay, I've got this theory. It's not a theory, it's a fact. You guys all know this. Everyone knows this, but I didn't want to crush his little lib sensibilities. I had to ride in a truck with him for the next 6 hours. So, put forth the theory that that gays specifically are like, I don't remember exactly how I phrased it. Not like this, but I just said the most degenerate demographic in our culture. And he was, oh yeah, totally. And he's like, I've got some horror stories for you. I was like,
all right, buckle up, folks.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, don't give me anything gross, but give me one that's really weird, really bizarre. And he's like, okay, so I knew this guy, old friend of mine. A friend of mine gives me his phone number, and he says, all right, if you haven't heard from me in 3 days, call me. If I don't answer, call the police. And he's like, why? And the guy's like, being all gay and stuff. He's just like, well, so I met this guy online in Detroit. I don't know him. I've never met him, but I am going to Detroit to pay him a bunch of money to tie me in a body bag, wrap duct tape around my hands and feet, and then zip it up and fondle me from the outside because I get off on, this is my fetish, this is my fantasy. I get off on, who's it going to be? Could you imagine? This is the only time you'll ever hear me advocate for this, but dude, can you just jerk off? How about not do that? Keep your kidneys.
And then, so when you told me this, my reaction to this was imagine being so infernally horny that this is the sort of risk you're willing to put yourself. Even imagine, don't even use the example of a woman going to see a man. Imagine if you and I are friends and I hit you up and I'm like, hey, here's my number. Call me in 3 days. If I don't answer, call the police. And you're like, what's happening? And I say, oh yeah, I met this chick online and I'm going to go over to her house and she's going to chloroform me and she's going to put me in a tub full of ice and then fondle my nipples because this is what gets me off. You would be like, dude, could you just jerk off and keep your kidneys? This is insane. Even beyond just the poor clutch, gays are degenerate, yada yada. This is insane behavior. Yes. Yeah. It is. There's this, and it's this deep inversion that it's the impulse to procreate is the thing that's being turned into your self-destruction.
Oh yeah. Okay, you're gonna go to Detroit to meet some people you've never met, to get into a body bag and then be duct taped and tied up so they can rub you on the outside. What is wrong with you, dude? Men will do this instead of go to therapy or whatever.
Yeah. I'm thinking of all the
I was he's telling me the story and I'm like, this is what is that movie?
Yes. We were just talking about it
With
the other day.
The gimp, you know.
Yeah.
Come on, guys, help us out.
Yes.
Tarantino movie.
This just
Follow.
happened to us with something else recently. Pulp Fiction. Yes, thank you. Yes.
This is like literal Pulp Fiction.
Yes. It's just it's like I'm kind of desensitized to all the degenerate.
I know.
I mean, a lot of us. So it's kind of like
we grew up on the internet, you know.
Right?
We all saw the beheadings and.
Yes, I have seen stuff that would make my parents' blood run cold. And I just kind of, whatever. So like, it's not the degeneracy of it that really, like, at this point, I'm just kind of like, yeah, like, objectively, I know it's degenerate, but that's not the thing that causes the recoil to me. The thing that causes the recoil to me is, like, I'm not a particularly, like, exceptionally risk-averse person. Like, I'll go do something to kind of get the adrenaline running. But, like, you got to at some point be like, okay, let me count the number of ways that this could go wrong completely innocently. Like, she's got you tied up in this body bag, and then she has a stroke, and she dies and falls on top of you. And you're duct taped inside a body bag with a dead body laying on top of you. Like, this could all be completely innocent. Nobody could be coming for your kidneys. And you still wind up suffocating under I guess it was a dude, suffocating under some dude's man boobs. Like, I just.
Yeah, what kind of payoff are you looking for?
Yeah. Oh, man. Like, I just can't imagine being that horny.
Yeah, I think the psychological aspect of it, like, trips up my disgust reflex more than just kind of, like, gross body stuff.
Right.
So what is wrong with you? So yeah, anyway, my gay friend is just like, yeah, gays, they take it to another level. Yeah.
No, so what was his like? Did he have the same sort of reaction or perception of it as us? I mean, grading on it's a gay guy scale. Or,
yeah, I'm surprised. It might just be because he's like 45, and he's not like, he's kind of like old school shit lib.
Yeah.
So he still has some, I think, some sense. Maybe I don't exactly know what it was, but yeah, he had the exact same reaction I did. I was, what? He was like on a different planet. What are you talking about?
I would really like to, like, I'm trying to imagine the life that, like the life choices or whatever, just the life experience that leads to a 45-year-old married gay man in West rural Michigan who's learning at 45, learning how to drive a truck. Like, he was
a restaurant owner, and yeah, he was a restaurant owner. He made a bunch of money. Him and his husband, they made a bunch of money owning restaurants and stuff like that. And they initially like sold all their stuff to pivot to like some other business venture, literally right before the lockdowns happened. So he got out just in time. And then they just decided, like, no, we're just gonna take your money and move on to some other things. So
is he just bored and just wants to learn? I mean, I understand that I have probably a very stereotyped impression of a 45-year-old married gay man that doesn't seem to allow for, like, learning how to deliver steel in rural Michigan.
Yeah, well, he grew up in rural Michigan, so
Huh. This is very interesting because
oh, surprise! He doesn't know who his dad is. Never met his dad.
Yes, many such cases. Yep.
Mother's been married like 6 or 7 times.
Yep.
As it goes.
So I bet you he's. Well, we don't need to go that direction.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. I don't want to.
Yeah. To me, like, it was. I was like, there's so many people. Like, you put together this definition of a person, 45-year-old married gay man, and rightfully, all the correct and true and honest people are like, ugh. And you're like, oh, that is like a creature of the regime. This is the enemy. And in a sense, yeah, it is the enemy. This is the creature of the regime. At the same time, he's like this, Like Cooper rode around in a truck with him for a couple of days and had interesting conversations and like connected on some interesting stuff. And, you know, you could like, if he had owned some business and you could go buy supplies from him or whatever, he could buy stuff from you. You could just kind of have an ordinary interaction with them.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a person to be clutching your pearls about, in the sense of like this is what our enemies look like. Our enemies are very, I don't know, insignificant people. Just ordinary people.
Yeah, a guy who's starting to drive a truck at like 40 something in rural Michigan. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He has his house and his garden and their dog babies or whatever, and that's
yeah,
they do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should repent. You should repent and find a priest and find Jesus and all of that. Yes. Obviously, yeah,
yes.
Got it. That's given, but you know, I'm not particularly interested in crusading against a guy like that. Whatever.
Yeah. Right.
You live on the gay side of town. Like, okay.
Yeah.
You guys segregated yourself off over there. All right.
Yep.
That's fine. You do your gay stuff over there.
Yeah, you guys don't have any schools in your side of town.
Right.
Kate J says, seems like both a creature and unwitting victim of the regime. That's a good point, and I would like to point out the appropriateness of the woman identifying the victim, picking out how someone is being victimized in a particular scenario.
Yeah.
Which is the role of the woman. Javier Oliva says the banality of gayness. Yeah, really, like
at this point.
And this is the trajectory, but this is part of Jason's neo-trad thesis, is that we're moving in the direction where that's going to be the type of person that is like, that's the that's like your stereotype of a gay guy is going to be that. We're gonna move away from the just complete outright
piss drinkers,
insane piss drinker degeneracy. Those literally, you can't sustain a civilization with that sort of thing. So there are people who exist who have I want my civilization to be sustained instinct that kicks in, and this happens collectively on a large enough level that those sorts of people are going to be evolved out of mainstream society one way or another.
No, Buck, I did not hug him, but I did shake his hand.
He
had a nice, strong, firm handshake, which is, I'll give. That's someone that I can trust to at least, not rip me off.
He's not giving you like the dead fish.
Yeah, I know he's not doing that.
Conrad says Coop talks to a gay man, starts wearing less clothes. Concerning.
Whoa! I've been wearing less clothes long before I was talking to any gay men. Okay. You haven't been around very long, have you?
Glonk says he probably calls them fur babies. Okay. So, the first of several different things we wanted to talk about here today. This little story here. This is, I think, a little entertainment, a little bit of good news, embedded within what might ostensibly be considered bad news. Logan Hall tweets, they openly brag about doing this stuff, then act horrified when people notice it. And there's a graphic here from Bloomberg. It says, corporate America pledged to hire more people of color. It actually did. The year after Black Lives Matter protests, the S&P 100 added more than 300,000 jobs. 94% went to people of color. 94% out of those 300,000 jobs went to people of color. And people might wonder why there's an upswell of, let's see, I think I can say these things. Let me consider them carefully. There is an upswell of sentiment among increasingly mainstream people that white people deserve representation, and that there is virtue in white people looking out for white people. I think this is, I'm describing the facts as I see them. That this is a sentiment that I'm hearing more and more. That's not a surprise if you consider the implications of something like this. Now, this is 300,000 jobs. On the grand scale of things, this is a very small number of people. However, this is an extremely disproportionate balance that would definitely stand out to people. That's a large number of potentially white people who were not hired who may have picked up on the fact that they weren't hired specifically because they're white people. That sort of thing has ripple effects. So he tweeted this in
like airplanes falling from the sky.
right, yeah. So he quote tweeted a tweet from Axios, which it really, really bothers me that this publication has this name.
I know, no kidding.
Yeah. If you're Orthodox, you understand. So the tweet here. So there's a link. We're going to go to this article here in just a sec. But the tweet, I thought this is great. Exclusive with a little alarm emoji. Sometimes I use these little alarm emojis, like ironically, kind of like alert, alert, alert. And this serious publication actually uses the little alarm emoji. Exclusive. If Trump returns to the White House, close allies want to dramatically change the government's interpretation of civil rights era laws to focus on anti-white racism, on quote, anti-white racism, rather than discrimination against people of color. There's your little corporate press doing its corporate press thing, where anti-white racism is this hypothetical thing, whereas discrimination against people of color is not hypothetical at all. Now, this is interesting because another thing that's starting to get counter-signaled, even by ostensibly mainstreamish type of people, is the Civil Rights Act itself. There's people who are actually properly calling out, even kind of like, I don't know, IDW type people. This is actually becoming quite a current among them, that, you know, the Civil Rights Act perhaps is not all it was cracked up to be.
I remember when I thought the IDW was like really edgy and cutting edge. Mm-hmm. Most boomer shit ever.
Yeah, what's that? That image of here. Let me see if I can. I'll pull this up real quick. American masculinity from at. Bear with me a sec.
James Lindsay.
Yes.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Here's the IDW.
Look at him. He studies the blade. Can you tell?
Look at this. He's got the high waters.
Why are his hips so long? He's got like this sort of kind of like a chick, like his whip, his hips and like his ankles and like the shape, the frame of his body.
Yes, he's got a little poochy belly and
yeah, he's got like Kleinfelters or something.
Someone I think replied to the original tweet with that, or maybe even replied to this. I don't remember, but they applied with a link to Klinefelter syndrome. Is it in here? Yeah, no. But I couldn't get over it. Like, it freaked me out. He's standing next to Joe Rogan. So Joe Rogan's like this tall right here. And he's got his arm around him. And he's like, his shoulders are all wonky. And then look at his left arm and his thumb. Like, what the fuck is going on here? It looks like, I said in the reply somewhere, it looks to me like somebody took somebody else's arm and stapled it onto his body, and he's still trying to figure out how to use it. Like, it looks like it's just really, really awkward. And of course, he's wearing the American masculinity shirt. So this is your IDW, folks. This is the apotheosis of it. So this was the article, that Axios article here. Exclusive Trump allies plot anti-racism protections for white people. Now, first of all, this premise, I got to give it to him. I like this is an interesting angle. This is when you're thinking of politics as it is, rather than politics as it should be. If you just try to eliminate anti-racism protections, the political capital required to do that and the hurdles you have to overcome to do that are probably going to render it just, if not impossible, but just essentially impractical. However, if you can use existing protections and just add them for white people explicitly, and with a democratic premise, appeal to the democratic premise, and add it for white people. Well, if you have Civil Rights Act protections for everyone, that's the same thing as having it for no one. So this is actually a way you can kind of move the ball forward, and you put the libs into the reactive position. So it says, if Donald Trump returns to the White House, close allies want to dramatically change the government's interpretation of civil rights era laws to focus on anti-white racism rather than discrimination against people of color. Why it matters. So one thing that stood out to me about this piece is there's an email on. There's a lot of these different email services, but there was one in particular called Morning Brew that you can sign up for, and it's a pretty cool little service. Like, it gives you quick blurbs on the major news stories, stock updates, whatever, and you can kind of customize what you want it. So the idea is supposed to be you could sit down and just go through and get a quick update on what's going on. Now, obviously,
while you're drinking your coffee, presumably,
exactly,
your Americano,
or
your cappuccino, or your latte.
Ideally with lots of cream and sugar.
No, I don't know.
Yes, okay, you're pro-metabolic in this household.
I understand that. But it's like,
you're not allowed to come full circle on Ray Pete.
What do you mean?
You're moving back. You're starting to come full circle on Ray Pete from where you started.
No. I've always been heterodox amongst the Peters.
Yeah.
But okay, but mainly because I'm not morbidly obese, like most of them are. But because pro-metabolic means eating 6,000 calories a day. But you don't want to go for a walk because that might like spike your cortisol and that make you stressed. If cortisol goes up, then serotonin goes up, and oh no, you're gonna feel bad. Your fifis are gonna be hurt. Oh no, and so you're just gonna sit on your ass and eat ice cream all day, and then you're gonna get morbidly obese.
Read research papers.
My metabolism is like 90th percentile. I'm so pro-metabolic. Like, you are a fat slug.
You're like a Wall-E character, but you're constantly taking your temperature and like checking your heart rate.
Yeah, you're a hypochondriac. I suppose that's still better than going to therapy, but I don't know. In any case, so I'm a big fan of cream, sugar, in coffee. That's good. Very good. Pro-metabolic. Right. However, like, some things just need to be enjoyed like properly. Like putting a bunch of sweeteners in a fucking latte. What are you doing? Just drink the latte. It's made a certain way.
Oh yeah.
Milk and have a cigarette with it. It's perfect. That's the way you start your morning. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I wasn't saying put cream and sugar in a latte. I mean, yeah, I guess you could if you wanted, but
Bill Hicks,
the latte is made for a reason.
Coffee? Bulletproof coffee, is that like where you put like the butter or the MCT oil and stuff in it?
Yeah, it's a keto thing.
I think that's fine. I guess that seems like
I would just make the bulletproof coffee with sugar.
Well, see, here's the thing: is like the bulletproof coffee. I think it's great to drink if you want to have like you want to get like a quarter of your day's calories first thing in the morning. Plus, it seems to me that if you're like going to be hammering down a bunch of saturated fat, you should wait till like the evening to do that rather than first thing in the morning. But whatever. Do whatever you want. Yeah,
I mean, it would make sense if you're eating a ketogenic diet because you're already fat adapted. So then you could pound that saturated fat early in the morning, and you're probably going to benefit from it more. But eating a ketogenic diet is gay, and you shouldn't do it. So I think we've probably sufficiently made Dave Asprey's head explode with the last 5 minutes here.
That guy. Tell you,
he's well on the way to making his own head explode. Have you seen the fucking cup full of pills that he takes every day?
Have you seen his face?
Mm-hmm.
The guy talks about how he's aging in reverse and he's going to live to be 180, and dude, 180 is coming pretty quick. Just look at him. He's like 45 and he's looking rough.
He wears those blue blocker glasses everywhere. They're I was going to see if there was a quick picture here that shows no. Oh yeah, here you go. Let's see if I can open this image so you guys can actually see it.
We've been really going off the rails tonight. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be too hard to pull that up. Go look up pictures of Dave Asprey from recently.
Let's go get on his Instagram and look at him.
Yeah. He's looking all
leathery.
All
of these guys, man. All of these like biohacker guys. Brian Johnson is like the quintessential example. They all end up looking like androgynous gay vampires after so many years. They have like translucent skin. They drink blood and they all look the same.
Bill Hicks says,
after a
I've heard
while.
peeps with weight issues get good results from keto. I need to put on weight, though. Okay, we're not going to do a full breakdown on keto today. We've done some episodes where we've talked about that, and maybe we can, maybe we'll do something at some point in the future. We could bring Josh Rayner on here, and we could talk about health. But the quick and dirty of it is keto is something. I mean, you could do it for a period of time. It's not going to kill you, but essentially, it's
And
like
if getting lean is your only goal,
Yeah.
it does work.
Yeah. But it comes at a cost. And that cost is your hormones. So it's terrible for testosterone. It's very stressful to your body. So essentially, I don't know if you could completely bear this out in a study or something, but intuitively, essentially what you're doing with keto is you're borrowing time from the end of your life to bring it to now. And you're accelerating your aging process through, you could think of it as like a super intense detox kind of.
Yeah, I think that's dubious. I might disagree and pick that apart there, but I will say this. If what you're burning for fuel is fat primarily because you're not taking in any carbs, well, how does your body liberate fat to burn it? It has to
Cortisol.
spike your cortisol to
Yep.
lipolysis. And then, so you're going to, like, it works, but, long term, if you're just burning fat all the time, then you're just going to have chronically elevated cortisol levels. That's going to fuck your testosterone. You're going to have all sorts of issues long term. It works short term, and you'll probably feel pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. And the gluconeogenesis, the part where your body is actually is essentially what your body is doing is digesting your own tissues.
Yeah.
So now, if you're fat, then you have extra tissues that you're digesting, but you're also not digesting targeted tissues. You're digesting tissues indiscriminately.
Unless you are training with a proper high intensity protocol vis-a-vis Mike Menser.
Yes. But anyways, okay. So back to Axios here. Morning brew before morning poo. Shout out Bill Hicks. And so this is what this made me think of. It's like, okay, here's this news thing. This isn't news for boomers where you're going to get this long think piece. This is provocative headline, one sentence summary, why it matters. This is like spoon feeding you the news. And the brainwashing couldn't be more clear. Just why? Here's what's happening. Here's why it matters. Why do I trust Alex Thompson to tell me why it matters? Now, if you're reading this critically, you might say, okay, well, he's telling me why he thinks it matters. But the vast majority of people are just, why it matters? Trump's Justice Department would push to eliminate or upend programs in government and corporate America that are designed to counter racism that has favored whites. Targets would range from decades-old policies aimed at giving minorities economic opportunities to more recent programs that began in response to the pandemic and the killing of George Floyd. Trump campaign spokesperson Stephen Chung told Axios, quote, as President Trump has said, all staff, offices, and initiatives connected to Biden's un-American policy will be immediately terminated. So those of you who are fairly seasoned king-pilled listeners or watchers, you know what they're talking about. This is Project 2025. But this is not just Project 2025. This is not just something that's happening within the auspices of that. This is external to that as well. Driving the news. Longtime aides and allies preparing for a potential second Trump administration have been laying legal groundwork with a flurry of lawsuits and legal complaints, some of which have been successful. Now, it's funny as I read this, I'm like, the people who would be associated with a potential second Trump administration, like you're like longtime aides and allies, like GOP standard operator guys, like at what point are they engaging in a flurry of anything? This is like, they're like this like slowly meandering sloth that's just making their way through the system and doing this thing. And
it's like the
right. Yeah, exactly. But it's a flurry of lawsuits. Now, in this case, I think there actually probably is something to this, because I think that what we're seeing with the MAGA full takeover of the GOP is an updating of the GOP to something new and different. A central vehicle for the effort has been America First Legal, founded by former Trump aide Stephen Miller, who has called the group who has called the group conservatives, quote, long-awaited answer to the ACLU. Which is a terribly phrased sentence. But essentially, Stephen Miller is saying that the group is the long-awaited answer to the ACLU for conservatives. America First cited the Civil Rights Act of 1964 in February in a lawsuit against CBS and Paramount Global for what the group argued was discrimination against a white straight man who was a writer for the show SEAL Team in 2017. In February, the group filed a civil rights complaint against the NFL over its Rooney Rule. The rule, named for Dan Rooney, late owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, was instituted in 2003 and expanded in 2022. It requires NFL teams to interview at least 2 minority candidates for vacant general manager, head coach, and coordinator positions. Now, this is freaking hilarious. So, coming from I followed football very closely for a long time. Every single offseason, without fail, there's new coaches and general managers being hired, and invariably, the libs always get really mad because they'll interview a black guy, and one of the reporters will tweet, "This team interviewed this guy. They have now satisfied the Rooney Rule requirements." And every single year, the libs get so angry because how dare you interview them just because they're black? And it's like, oh my God, like how do you not connect these thoughts in your head? We're going to mandate that you interview people who are not white. And then when you interview someone who's not white, we're going to get angry because you're interviewing them just because they're not white. This is like the most direct. I mean, I understand there's like externalities and sometimes people have a harder time with second order thinking and stuff. This is like, this isn't that complicated. You literally said you need to check this box every single year. Okay, well, we checked the box. How dare you check that box? Ah! So now you might think this kind of thing is sort of like petty or like insignificant. Like what? Who gives a fuck about the NFL? Blah, blah, blah. What they're doing is they're establishing precedents. They're establishing legal precedents for these kinds of things. American First.
That's the only thing they're in a flurry doing is body bag tickles.
Yeah, that's what was his name? Madison Cawthorn. He learned that the hard way.
Oh yeah, he couldn't run.
I'm imagining Madison Cawthorn sitting in his wheelchair in a body bag, and he's just like, The guys are like out getting a drink or something, and he's, and then he dares to tell someone about it, and they're like, "You are disappeared." That dude, I've never seen somebody yanked out of the public eye so fast. Completely disappeared. He used to be like at least weekly he'd be in the news. Nope. Just completely vanished. If he was dead, nobody would know any difference. He could literally be like rotting in a ditch somewhere and nobody would know and nobody would ever know. American First argued that, quote, given the limited time frame to hire executives and coaches after the season, this results in fewer opportunities for similarly situated, well-qualified candidates who are not minorities. I like this. In 2021, Miller's group successfully sued to block the implementation of a $29 billion pandemic-era program for women and minority-owned restaurants, saying it discriminated against white-owned businesses. This ruling is the first but crucial step toward ending government-sponsored racial discrimination, Miller said then. Now, my boomer con detectors go off with this kind of thing where it's like, no, there should be no discrimination at all. But I think from a realpolitik perspective, we just got to. This is legitimately the best legal way to approach this, and if it means you have to give time to the boomer cons and you have to say yes, Grandpa, yeah, that's right. There should be no discrimination against anyone. It should be. we need to respect the rights of every single individual. Democracy is wonderful. Yes, I get it, Grandpa. That's right. Now, please sign here. Just
right.
Just put up with it. Zoom in.
Just put my name on the will. Okay.
Right, yeah, right. Other Trump-aligned groups are preparing for a future Trump Justice Department to implement or challenge policies on a broader scale. The Heritage Foundation's well-funded Project 2025 envisions a second Trump administration ending what it calls affirmative discrimination. Part of the plan, written by former Trump Justice Department official Gene Hamilton, argues that, quote, advancing the interests of certain segments of American society comes at the expense of other Americans and in nearly all cases violates longstanding federal law. Hamilton is America First Legal's general counsel. Then it goes in, it talks about the Supreme Court. The Trump campaign directed Axios to the candidates' already stated positions, bashing Biden's policies, promoting equity. This phrase, like bashing policies. Bashing used to be a word that you wouldn't see in like formal professional publications, or like spewing. People say spewing hate is kind of one of these phrases that just sort of falls out of people's mouths now. This is very millennial. This is like millennials who have taken over the language. I don't know, 25 years ago, if you had an article in the news talking about one Trump campaign with their criticism of the other campaign or whatever, they wouldn't frame it as bashing his policies. Bashing is just kind of such a silly juvenile word. Every institution in Trump is under attack from this Marxist concept of equity, Trump said in 2023. I will get this extremism out of the White House, out of the military, out of the Justice Department, and out of our government. Rally up them boomers. The Trump campaign's Stephen Chung added, President Trump is committed to weeding out discriminatory programs and racist ideology across the federal government. The NFL and Miller declined to comment. CBS didn't respond to a request for comment. This is the best that you're going to get. You're not going to get the presidential candidate who is explicit. You're not going to get the explicitly pro-white angle. It's just not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
And if I was advising a campaign, I would tell them, don't take this head on. Deal with it this way. This is how you get this boilerplate. He's committed to weeding out discriminatory programs and racist ideology across the federal government. This is the way that you have to, if you're going to engage in the political system, this is the way you have to do it.
Yeah. If you come out and say, like, white power, game over, dude.
Right.
That's the end of your political career.
A CBS poll last November found that 58% of Trump voters believe that people of color were advantaged over white people. Just 9% of Biden voters said the same. Some of these spreads are insane. Like 58% to 9%. This is like Scott Adams' thing about the watching the same movie on two different screens. It couldn't be more clear than this type of thing. Polls also show, however, that Trump is gaining support among Black and Latino voters. I wonder why. Zoom out. Trump has portrayed himself as the victim of racism amid his legal troubles. He has repeatedly said Black women prosecutors in Georgia and New York are racist. He hasn't said Black women prosecutors in Georgia and New York are racist. He has said these specific people are racist. Okay. Of course, he has to do the birther agitator, questioning Barack Obama's eligibility to be president. When Trump jumped into the presidential race in 2015, he accused Mexico of dumping criminals and rapists into the U.S. What was this guy's name? Alex Thompson. You're a special guy, Alex Thompson. Look at that. Face only a mother could love. He looks like Rufus Sewell.
He looks like looks like I don't know. I can't think of the guy's name. I'm so terrible at because I don't give a shit at all about pop culture and celebrities and stuff like that. There's an actor I'm thinking of. I don't know what his name is.
No, it's not Rufus Sewell. Is not who I was thinking of. I don't think, but he kind of looks like him. Anyway, okay. Can't keep getting distracted.
Looks kind of like the guy who plays Jim from The Office.
He's got a little bit of that. Yeah. Okay. So this was the reason I wanted to highlight this in this particular show is that.
Oh yeah. He looks like the dude from Always Sunny, Glenn Howerton.
Yes,
just with
yes.
More pronounced features. Yeah.
He looks like Glenn Howerton and Rufus Sewell had a baby. That's who he looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Dennis.
So So we were talking in the King Pill Discord about this the other day, about the whole like Project 2025 and PayPal Mafia thing, and I'm trying to remember exactly how I said it. I said it exactly the way I wanted to say it then, but my point in bringing this to people's attention is that I'm trying to show you the things that are happening. Like the things are happening. The whether you want to talk about it as the Overton window or the direction of history or the mainstream or whatever it is, it's moving. It's moving and it's moving fast. There's a lot of reasons for this, and there's a lot of reasons to expect it to continue happening going forward. The point here is not that you need to go join Project 2025. If you want to go join Project 2025, more power to you. I think there's a lot of value in getting our guys joining these kinds of programs explicitly. But the way to, if you like this sort of thing happening, if you want to see more of it, there's a multitude of different ways that you can play a part in that you can facilitate or push that forward. You could join Project 2025. You could get involved in your local government, and you could, with the awareness of what's happening with Project 2025, you could start aligning your various initiatives and start seeking out grants and this sort of thing within your local government. You don't even have to get involved in the government. You could do this from a business perspective. You could recognize the sorts of moves that are happening, and you could begin building infrastructure around the things that they're trying to create. I expect that if 100% would be the most based possible outcome of Project 2025 and them attaining it with flying colors, I'd say my expectations are probably somewhere between 40 and 60%, somewhere in there. I think it's going to be significantly watered down, but it's going to be a change. It's going to be a move in a direction. One of the things that will ensure that any sorts of changes that are made, that those changes stick, is if infrastructure gets built around them, because that's what gives it staying power. It becomes incorporated into people's daily life. So there's counter elites who are moving. I don't even know if I would call them counter elites. They're just elites. They're elites who are moving against the existing regime establishment on a whole bunch of different fronts. Do I expect them all to be 100% successful? Of course not. But if that's your standard, like, welcome to history. Every time you read history, you're reading the imperfect outcome of someone's dreams. Someone had this dream of what something was going to look like, and they began working toward it, and a bunch of other people were all working toward it, and they fell short of what they wanted it to be, and it turned into something else. And then you start drawing a narrative through that, and you say, oh, this is progress, or this is the opposite of progress, whatever your perspective is. In either case, the story gets told after the fact. And so now we get to be a part of building that. You can be a part of building that if you want to. So I bring these sorts of things to people's attention so you're aware of of these kinds of trends. What's really interesting to me with the Project 2025 thing is it still is not mainstream. The best that you're going to find, you might get some kind of throwaway articles here and there, but the majority of what you find is things like Axios. Like, how many people are actually reading Axios? The publication has, I'm sure, an extremely limited reach, and the people who are actually consuming it are just regime loyalists. There's nobody seriously actually, oh, let me get my news here. It's just like dork millennials. And these are the only people who are talking about it. They're in full blown like grab their balls and run around in circles screaming about it. But it's not being picked up. It's not being amplified. Something like this happening in 2020 or 2016, like conservatives, right-wingers, open Christians organizing on a level like this would have been the single existential crisis. It's not happening. I don't know why it's not happening. I think there's a number of different theories that kind of all seem plausible to me, but the fact is it's not happening. And as a famed philosopher, Lil Wayne said, real G's move in silence like lasagna. So I think there's something we can take away from that. Hold on. Why is I I got to make sure this is an important message that I need to take.
Yo, Shawty, it's your
It is not.
birthday. We gonna party like it's your birthday.
We are going to sip Bacardi like it's your birthday.
You know, we don't give a fuck that it's your birthday. Find me in the club.
Bottle full of bub.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I gotta give it to 50 Cent. That song goes. That's a banger. That was a classic.
Yeah. It seems from the videos that I see on my Twitter timeline that there's all this uproar that's happening among their community, the community of the urban kangs. There's a lot of uproar going on with that right now, and it seems
I
to
could
me
not care less.
right. Yeah, I've barely followed it. It's trended and everyone's been talking about it, so I've seen stuff, but I don't know any details. But I do keep seeing. It seems that 50 Cent is very much not on board. 50 Cent may be kind of like Cat Williams was starting to call out that this sort of thing might be happening, and he's not quite as dirty as the rest of them. The basketball community, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next thing on the agenda here. This is a very interesting tweet.
Did we ever get to the old chuds, or are we going to come to that later?
That's the next one after this one.
Oh, okay, cool.
So,
the SoundCloud rappers.
They want you to buy their mixtape.
Mm-hmm.
We got 69 concurrent viewers. Nice. 38 likes.
No one leave, no one come. Like, just stay right there.
You are just killing me with the euphemisms today, man. I have been a very good boy. Yes. I have been not calling out every single one that I hear. But
I speak in you. What do you mean? Like, I'm sure like 30% of those, maybe more, were not even intentional.
You said 69, no one come.
I know I did. But it was by chance. I realized it was a euphemism as it was coming out of my mouth. I didn't think like, oh, this will be a funny joke. You see, I'm just inherently funny. So as I talk, funny things come out of my mouth. And I'm also a degenerate by nature because I'm a zoomer. I almost dropped my popcorn on the floor, talking with my hands. Because I'm also a homosexual.
You're also autistic. You got to get the flapping.
Yeah,
I noticed you were rocking back and forth while you were telling the story earlier. You were really getting into it.
Yeah.
68 concurrent viewers, 40 likes. Do us a favor, folks. Pay us in likes. You can also pay us in money too if you want to be a member of this esteemed channel, which basically just means like you give us money. That's really all it is. You get some special emotes. Yeah, you could do the Zoomer emote in the chat. You could do the Stronk one. But $5 you can be a member. You can also give us a super chat, and we will thank you for it.
You will have our eternal gratitude.
One thing that Cooper pointed out to me today was that I created the banger emote and as one of the special emotes that you get when you're a channel member, and he said that's actually an actual emoji, so you don't even need to be a member to post the banger in the chat. So this has been my boomer moment of the day. All right, so this was a very interesting tweet that I saw. Very profound. This is not, I mean, I'm sure we'll figure out a way to make it funny, but this one's not necessarily intended to be funny. This is a little more sobering, very interesting. We're, a quick heads up, we may be coming full circle on women. We've come full circle on a number of different long-term villains, and women may be the next one.
Which is what my name is referencing today.
Yeah, what is it? It's
Woman Respecter and Chief Simp.
Oh, Chief Simp. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely. That's me.
So normally,
ladies in the chat. I know there's like 3 of you. I got your back. I'm here protecting women like men are supposed to.
He studies the blade.
I study the blade. You need my protection. Anybody talk shit to the ladies in the chat, you're getting the boot.
Oh, here we go. Random username $2. He says throws $2 bill on the stage.
There we go.
I've watched Reacher, so I know that if you have a $2 bill, you're probably either a mailman or a sports bettor. Those who've watched Reacher will appreciate that.
Then my kids must be mailmen or sports bettors. that's what they got for Easter from their my in-laws, was a bunch of $2 bills in their little Easter eggs.
So we know something about your in-laws. Screwed Up Rebellion says, women here? Yeah, so this is funny. I remember I was telling you guys a while back that for a brief period of time there, we were moving in the direction of something like an 85-15. We were at like 90-10 male to female audience on YouTube, and we were moving in the direction of 85-15. I just looked, and for the last 3 months, these are the exact numbers. For the last 3 months, our viewership has been 99.8% male and 0.02% female. So, boys, you're welcome. We chased them off. Except for our few token representatives who still remain. So, generally, we will not expose you to women's thoughts. We have more respect for you than that. But in this case, we actually have a couple of women whose thoughts we want to expose you to today. There could be women here, he thought.
Buck says, how do you see those numbers? Yeah, let's give Buck a tutorial on how to look at his analytics while we're doing a live stream, because he's such a fucking boomer.
Not all boomers are boomers, Buck. If you go into your studio and you go to your analytics and then you go under audience, it'll break it down, all the demographics, age demographics, where in the country, what languages, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so I have no idea who this person is. I just saw this tweet and thought it was interesting. She says it's at Melissa Jenna. She says, our Pilates teacher, and right away I'm like, oh God, do I have to keep reading this? Our Pilates, but I went through it for you guys and there's a payoff. Our Pilates teacher was making small talk after class and asked if anyone had plans for Easter. A boomer-aged grandmother complained that ever since her parents passed away, her family stopped gathering for the holidays. I miss those traditions, she sighed. It's as if she doesn't realize that she is the grandmother now. I see this all the time, and it's not just boomers. People not wearing the mantle of their season of life, yet being apparently unhappy with the consequences. I'm going to read that again because that is, as they say, a bar. People not wearing the mantle of their season of life, yet being apparently unhappy with the consequences. Yes. Men who are at the age of life. I saw this trend going on the other day. It was my parents when they got married at like 21 or 22, and then my 29-year-old single brother opening his Easter egg basket. And comparing these two together. This is another example of this. 29-year-old man, single, opening an Easter egg basket. This is a man, I mean, no shade to the man in particular, because there's plenty of reasons why he is the way he is, but objectively speaking...
Wait.
What?
You're saying no shade to the man who's 20-something years old and opening an Easter basket like a fucking toddler?
I mean... When I go home, if I was home at Easter, I'm 35. If I was home at Easter, I have grandmothers who would give me an Easter egg basket. And I would open the Easter egg basket.
It's okay if it comes from the matriarchs and the patriarchs.
Right.
That's fine.
And if you're a 29-year-old man and you're single, there's a very good chance at this point in history, if you're a 29-year-old man and you're single, there's kind of a last helicopter out of Vietnam effect that happened to you, and the entire dating market has been completely upended underneath you. So you're, on one hand, you are a victim of this, and so I want to respect and acknowledge your victimhood. At the same time, you're the one who's responsible for it, and you're the only one who could do something about it.
Listen to our last stream,
yes,
we gave you some actionable advice to quit being fucking gay.
Right. So that's another. So everyone wants to shit on the boomers, but you've also got young men who are not wearing the mantle of their season in life, yet they're apparently unhappy with the consequences. You also have women. You've got 45-year-old single women who have a cat but no children, and they just realized it. And now they're unhappy. Oh no, the consequences of my decisions.
Dude.
What?
You want to hear on that point? So my wife was telling me a story the other day about what the Redditors are up to, because she gets on Reddit for her freaking anime stuff, whatever. Shit I could not care less about. But in any case,
I'm surprised you still let her have a phone.
Well, and I was, baby steps,
No, Athanasius, it's his wife.
Yeah, like I know the ideal is a dirt floor, mud hut, barefoot, yada yada, but we live in a fallen world, so
Mm-hmm.
gotta take what you can get. It's hard out here for us young guys, right, guys? Anyway, she was telling me about kind of on this. You were mentioning the 40-year-old single chicks who have the cat. She was telling me that she has seen this pattern emerging on Reddit, which is it's just another reason not to go on Reddit.
It also like this is like reading through the like the sediment layers of society in real time.
Oh yeah,
Going and reading Reddit is like if you're trying to do some sociological spelunking or something like that. That Reddit's a good place for that.
You want to go stare into the abyss? Go on Reddit. In any case, she was telling me about how she's starting to see this pattern emerging. There's this new fetish called breeding, where you have a bunch of like girls in their 30s who can't get off unless it's unprotected sex, and they're really worried about getting pregnant, and they have to go talk to their doctors about their birth control because they can't get off if there's any kind of if there's any condoms, basically. And I'm just like, okay, first of all, the fact that we're pathologizing, something
right.
but secondly, maybe your body is screaming at you because you're 35 and you've only got maybe a couple of years left, and you need to get married and make babies.
Shout out to Molly memes.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, your egg carton. Yep. Your egg carton is almost empty, and your body is screaming at you that your egg carton is almost empty. Buck Johnson says counterflow is 90% men, 10% women.
Ladies, it's not a fetish. It's your body wants to make babies.
Right.
So you should get married and make some babies.
Yeah. Men, you should marry these women.
Yeah, hey.
Yes.
All you guys out there who are feeling lonely, go find these ladies on Reddit. Go spelunking on Reddit and rescue them.
And every single objection that you're about to... I hear them. Shut the fuck up. I don't care about any of them.
Start spitting out babies, dude.
Yes. Go put a baby in these women. I mean, get married, do it the right way, but go put a baby in these women. Everything that you're about to object, it's just your pride. That's all it is. Complete cope. Yes. You don't deserve better.
No, you don't. If you're gooning in your mom's basement or, hey, in your one-bedroom
own basement. Yeah, right. Yeah.
You do not deserve better, okay?
Uh-huh.
Go get yourself a lady and make some babies, okay?
We're gonna be if we draw in any of the chuds today, they're probably not going to be happy with us by this point.
That's okay. I fucking can't stand them.
Well, that's right. We were going to get back to your thoughts on the chuds, but we'll get to them here in a minute. I want to highlight real quick. Buck Johnson says 90-10 male to female ratio for counterflow. Yeah, Buck, that's because you're a fucking firefighter with the body of a Greek god and tattoos. Cooper and I are Cooper and I.
Wait, 90-10 women to men?
No, men to women. Did I say the other way around?
No, okay.
Yeah, I thought that would be funny.
I was like, you got more yeah, it's because you're just a stud.
He's got more. His audience demographics would be more skewed toward women than fucking Days of Our Lives.
I would genuinely be impressed by that.
There you go, Buck. You've got your marching orders.
Buck, I might be able to give you a run for your money on the stud thing, though. Oh. But I'm not a firefighter, so that's why we don't have any ladies around here.
But you're a businessman.
I'm a businessman, but if I become a firefighter, then we can up the lady numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Represent. Be more representative.
Okay, so back to the tweet here. I just got to read that phrase one more time. People not wearing the mantle of their season of life, yet being apparently unhappy with the consequences. I'm sure there's many reasons why this happens, but it's confounding to me because why do people engage in behaviors that make them unhappy? Or choose not to engage in behaviors that would make them happy? Like, is it that people are asleep at the wheel of their lives? They don't realize their own agency? It makes me feel angry, sad. Why? It makes me feel angry, sad / grief to see people suffer needlessly when there's low-hanging fruit all around them. Invite your children and grandchildren over for Easter. Spoil those grandbabies with cake and an Easter egg hunt. Give them a puppy. Lean into your season. Now, one thing I do want to point out is the irony of her having this observation and writing a tweet directed at boomer grandmas and putting it on Twitter.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's not exactly going to hit your target demographic.
Take that to Facebook.
Yeah, right. However, this is not just applicable to boomer grandmas, and it's not just applicable to boomers, like we've been saying. This is applicable to like everyone across all demographics right now. You could sit around and complain about all the reasons why, and you can theory sell about why it is, but there's a very clear answer to how to make this not be the case, and that is take up the mantle of your season of life. Whatever season of life you're in, start acting like it. LARPing is praxis. Mm-hmm. Start LARPing the life you want to have, and eventually you will have the life you want to have, even if it's not the life that you think you want to have right now. If you begin LARPing the process of taking up the mantle of your season of life, the life you end up with will be the life that you want. Athanasius says, I LARP as a grandfather. Are you actually grandfatherly age? Because if Athanasius is grandfatherly aged, my mind is going to be blown. Because
I would have assumed he was like a Zoomer.
Yeah, there is like, I don't know, 0.6% or something of our audience that's 65 and over. And shout out to those people. I don't know what 65 and older person is coming and listening. If it's a 65 and older woman, even more. There's got to be like 2 of them, maybe. Yeah,
does anything we say, like, are we speaking the same language, or do you understand anything we're saying?
Right, yeah. If
maybe
you
like
are
some old, crusty, like, Nazbol or something like that, some, like, old bass guy from World War II or something.
Oh, Athanasius is 38. He says he wakes up with back pain and his 17-year-old son calls him a boomer. So yes, you are taking up the mantle of your life. You are a 38-year-old man waking up and having your teenage son call you a boomer.
17-year-old son and you're 38? Nice job, man. Had a kid when you were, what, 20, 21?
Yeah.
You're doing it right.
Mm-hmm. Good for you, man.
Not even 40 yet.
The vast bulk, probably like 95% of our listenership, I was talking about this in the voice chat last night, is between the 25 to 34 demographic. That's the largest. And then the 35 to 44 demographic is the second largest. And I was saying what we need to get is all of the 45-year-olds, we need to get them in mentorship roles with the 25-year-olds. Each of you 45-year-olds, you need to adopt a king-pilled son. Take him under your wing. Teach him how to be a man. Now, this is assuming that you as a 45-year-old man are not a 45-year-old married gay man learning how to deliver steel. If you're one of those, we'll hold off on the mentorship program for a little while. $5 super chat from TK. What's up, buddy? He says, my cousin, 30-year-old male pothead loser, has a 19-year-old female fiance. It's possible. Yeah. You know, it's funny. You've got all the women that are out there complaining about how there's no men to be had. And then you've got all the men who are out there complaining that there's no good women to be had. And I like, how do we just make these people talk to each other?
Yeah.
Well, anyways.
Anyway.
So now we get to what I think is probably going to be, if we haven't made enemies through this show so far, then this may be the one that does it. We'll see. So this thread from Alex Kashuda on Twitter a couple days ago, I don't even know what day it is. This stirred some people up. People got pretty worked up at this thread, and it's kind of funny because I agree wholeheartedly with every single thing she said.
I was just about to say, I'll prepare you guys. She's 100% right.
Yes.
And if this ruffles your feathers, it's because you're gay, by the way.
Yes, correct. I was going to say it's your pride again, but it's also you're gay. So first of all, shout out Alex Kashuda. I think
we should get her on the show.
We should, yeah.
Full circle on women.
Yes. We're coming full circle on women
for an hour.
We are actually going to ask for a woman's thoughts and subjective subject you to them. She actually recently had an episode with Niccolo Soldo, Fisted by Foucault on Twitter. It was fantastic, absolutely wonderful episode. They talked a lot about like Eastern European politics, and Niccolo Soldo is the guy who wrote the famed AIDS thread. If you haven't read it, just look it up. You're in for a wild ride. So this is what Alex tweeted. She said, making the uniting force on the right, quote, sexual resentment against white women, is going to tank this movement. Whatever you may think about the ballot box, having no immunity against the most heinous loser table vibes is sucking the air out of this place as we speak. Yes, correct. Mm-hmm. Now, what Alex is doing with this thread, so she's getting, everywhere. Oh, she's a harpy that's screeching. This is the longhouse. This is blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. You guys are gay. This is a woman doing what a woman is supposed to do. The woman is supposed to, she's there. This is the matriarchal role, the proper matriarchal role. Look, guys, this is how you are being perceived. You're playing a game where perception matters. This is how you're being perceived. She is your debug code. She's finding the bugs in your code and highlighting them for you so you can do something about them. You can argue with a woman all you want about how her perception is not reality. You are the loser. If you're arguing with a woman that her perception is not reality, you have just subjected yourself to suckerdom. The woman's perception is reality to her. This is, what is it our good friend Josiah says? Should we give away
women,
another?
Okay. Buckle up, guys.
Yes.
Dealing with women is 100% perception management.
Mm-hmm.
Has nothing to do with like on the ground reality. It's perception. That is reality for them.
Mm-hmm. And this is a feature. It's not a bug.
Makes them feel.
Mm-hmm. And the perception of women is probably the most powerful force in the universe.
Uh-huh.
We want to live with women, not exterminate them. You have two options. You can exterminate them or you can live with them. There's no in between, unless you want to be miserable. And exterminating them will make you miserable. So we must live with them. She is providing matriarchal wisdom here. She says, you don't need women on the right. Sure, I hear this every day. But politics on these platforms is a shark womb, and if you think you can't be purged because you'll always play along nicely with whatever iteration of the ratchet comes next, you may be in for a surprise. The only people who don't get excommunicated are those so flexible that their bodies can't accommodate a spine, or so addicted that they can't imagine a life without this platform and will do anything to find an audience. Yes, Jeff Gehrig says it's called reading the room. Right. She's saying read the room. She said, I know very, very few women on the online right who haven't checked out from the years of growing open hatred. The few that continue to put up with it feel like they have too much invested to call it out, or are your usual tits plus outrage boomercon engagement bait. So on one hand, there's a critique of some of the people who have said, they're not, I don't want to call out particular names, because I'm not interested in getting into a flame war. You can go read the thread.
Fight.
You can do it yourself.
Fight.
No,
let's do it, man.
No. Because there's also the Charles Haywood's thing. No enemies on the right.
Okay. Fair. All right. You've
so the response that I was seeing from this was, well, we don't need women in political commentary. We don't need the opinions of women in this. Men need to build the stuff and women just live in it. That sort of thing. And I don't think that per se is wrong. However, we also don't live in the fake reality that you've invented for yourself. We live in a reality where political movements form themselves through commentary online. This is just how it is. PR is a big deal. Whether you want it to be or not, it is. And she is saying, as a woman who is sympathetic to all of your views, as a woman who wants to live in the world you guys want to create, You're standing in your own way when you play footsie with this sort of thing. See, all of these words have just gotten completely tainted. So you can't even use these words or talk about these things without sounding gay.
Yep.
But it was kind of a meme for a little while that we're like, oh, we're misogynist, and we participate in this meme here. But when you take that meme to actually openly hating and being aggressive and threatening violence and hostile, openly hostile to women as women, this is retarded. This is retarded for strategic reasons. This is retarded for I don't want to live in a world that's a sausage fest. I like women. I want to have women around. I want to live around women. I value the insight of women because women provide valuable insight. That's literally what they're there for. And if you can't differentiate these things in your mind between the piss drinker worldview framing of women, which she gets into here in a second, or it's like it has to be just completely dichotomized one or the other, then I don't know. It's liking women sounds pretty gay to me. Yeah. $2 super chat from TK says, calling out you, redheaded libertarian. Yes. You don't, part and parcel with recognizing what did she call it? Tits plus outrage boomercon engagement bait.
Yep. Yeah.
You guys, you're free to both recognize this as a legitimate phenomenon, as she is, and also recognize that what she's saying is right. Let's continue with this. She says, I really do care about families and children and keeping the places we live safe and prosperous. I care about men like my sons. She has sons. She is married with children. She is a stable, secure person. This is a woman that women should be learning from. And she has wisdom for young men. Yes, newsflash, older women have wisdom for young men. I apologize, Alex, for calling you older, but I understand that you're not in your early 20s. And a lot of the guys that are engaging in this sort of thing and being pandered to are in their early 20s.
Yeah.
When you're in your early 20s, there are women who are older than you that you would do well to learn from. She's offering wisdom here. I care about men, like my sons, living meaningful lives, finding love, and having children. I also care about them not falling prey to high verbal IQ psychos who peddle narcissistic fever dreams and rectally derived versions of statistics and history.
Gooners, or Goonics.
Goonics.
Coined a term for them.
Mm-hmm. I understand that people use these spaces for catharsis to finally scream the things they only get to think in real life. The void stares back at you, though, and what a mighty void you have created here. You have to have some self-control. You can recognize the deleterious effects of the hyperfeminization of society, and also recognize that this is something that hasn't been perpetrated by women. This has been perpetrated by men. Women can't do anything without men allowing them to do it. If the society has been hyperfeminized, it's not because the women have done it. It's because the men have not properly constrained the women. The men are the ones who are responsible. So taking out your rage on women is just stupid. It's like being mad at your job and going and kicking your dog. It doesn't make any sense. It's not even that it's wrong, it's just gay and retarded.
Or like being mad at your dog and kicking your job.
Yeah, right, yeah. You're mad at your dog, so you go in and punch your boss. Like, it's just going to backfire on you. So this guy had some interesting thoughts here, too. He shared, okay, you got to do a little Twitter threading here. So he says, quote, girls are cute and do cute things, close quote, should be how you mentally process women. What I dislike about mid and longhouse discourse online is that it abandons the male default setting. Can tell when a guy has lost the charm women naturally have over men. It's not healthy. Worry many men have it taken from them very early due to how perversely women have been portrayed their entire lives. either hyper debasement via pornography or comic glorification via feminism. This perfectly stated.
Yes. Yeah.
So all of the young Goonics, the people who are being who she's speaking to, the young, or maybe we could be gracious to them. These are potential Goonics who haven't been fully realized in their Goonicry yet. You have been done a disservice by the way that women have been portrayed to you. No wonder you have a distorted perspective of them. No wonder you don't know how to talk to them or relate to them. Yes, we live in an extremely hyper-feminized society. There's deep sociological reasons for this. We've done episodes talking about this. We'll do more episodes talking about this. But you've been given two different views of women. Either the comic glorification via feminism, the girl boss phenomenon, or hyper-debasement via pornography. It's no wonder you don't know how to relate to them. Yeah. But the answer isn't to lean in to the most retarded caricatures of like red pill thought that essentially reduces women to subhuman status.
Yeah. Yep.
Because if you start seeing women as subhuman, I can't think of anything else more antinatalist than that.
Well, not only that, I mean, you're kind of just like defeating the whole premise of your political worldview if you say that women, don't have agency.
Right.
You're being bossed around by a bunch of women because of the longhouse or whatever.
You got to pick one
to do. Yeah.
Women don't have agency, or the society is controlled by women. It can't be both.
No.
So he shares this with her and said, I think there's something psychological or rather spiritual at play. There's a loss of what Paul calls natural affection that is in the air with much of this dialogue. There's a reason why it's very productive for powers and principalities for men and women to be at war with one another. In fact, this is the fundamental vector through which humanity is subverted. By subverting the female relationship to the man and the man going along with it. It's not consummated until the man goes along with it and plays his part. Continuing with her thread, she says, good point. For people who never meet babies, parenthood is shrouded in fearful mystery. For men who only meet women in porn, HR, and Marvel movies, women may begin to seem like alien, mentally deficient succubi.
Yeah.
If you see women as alien, mentally deficient succubi, newsflash, you are not going to have a civilization. A civilization is not going to thrive and prosper with the perspective that women are alien, mentally deficient succubi. Even if you've been conditioned to think of them that way.
Probably going to have a hard time getting a girlfriend, too.
Yes, right. Which is really what a lot of this comes back to. And we'll get into this in just a second. So this is the sort of response. She gets this guy says, and I don't know who this person is, whatever. Sorry, you're getting highlighted in the show, but you're the one who put your thoughts out here. So he says, do you have any sons? Don't you care about them being lonely for the rest of their lives and horribly depressed due to the 80-20 distribution? The trade-off for your rights as a female is the happiness of your sons.
You can tell that guy's single.
Yes, right. Like, if you're going to sit down and you're going to type out a tweet and you're going to send it to someone, presumably you think that that's going to, there's some productive reason for doing that. I could say just
posting. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. And he didn't write it like he's shit posting. So first of all, this just is not going to be persuasive. This fails like every persuasion test ever. But what did she say right here? I care about men like my sons living meaningful lives, finding love, and having children. Now, this guy probably doesn't have children. I would assume he probably doesn't. If he does, then I'm very concerned. This statement here, if a woman says something like this, if you understand a woman's relationship to her sons, the depth of a mother's love for her son and what she will do for him, what she will sacrifice for him, you'll understand the weight behind this statement. So then to respond with something like, don't you even care about your sons being lonely? Yeah, her sons aren't going to be lonely and horribly depressed because she's not raising them to be a gay retard.
Yeah.
She's raising them to actually know how to relate to women and actually how to engage with them in a productive way, in a pro-social, pro-natalist sort of way. You're not going to browbeat women into a healthy civilization. And then, of course, here you go. This is the response she gets. She says the cavalry is here. This guy.
From Fish Groiper. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm really interested in hearing what Fish Groiper has to say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going to be... I'm sure he has deep wisdom for us.
Yeah.
What is his bio? Jesus Christ. The guy's gotten lost in the meme.
Yeah.
This political movement's going somewhere. And I actually... we probably shouldn't say the name. Even having it on the screen may cause problems, but I actually don't really mind the guy. I think I think he's I don't think that he's been a net positive effect given the types of people who are gravitated toward him, the type of people he's attracting.
Right. He bothers me for the same reason, which I'll get into in a minute. Why chuds in general bother me. I think he's very talented. He's very good at what he does. He's also an asshole all the time. So, there's that.
And you've got this guy, Trump Daily Quote, says, someone's jealous that Candace Owens is more beautiful and intelligent and cool than she is. Now, I've got to say, Trump Daily Quote saying Candace Owens is more beautiful and intelligent and cool than this blonde white woman. I wonder if this is memeing. I don't know. This is maybe some deep memeing, if you catch my drift. But she recoils. I've been found out. If you see this thread written by a mother of sons, and your takeaway is that she's doing this because she's jealous of Candace Owens being more beautiful and intelligent and cool than her, dude, like
I don't follow that at all.
No. You're dealing with caricatures. You're not even engaged with reality.
Got porn brain, dude.
Yes. This is gay porn brain. Now, one of the things this was the thing that I think really set people off was her equating this phenomenon, sexual resentment against white women, and the most heinous loser table vibes. Basically, the people, she's using the incel meme. The incel meme is a meme for a reason, because the incel phenomenon is a very real thing. And the incel phenomenon is not because all of the guys who are incels, self-styled or not, are just hapless victims who have been put upon by society and there's nothing they can do about it and we need to coddle them. No. These guys need to get their fucking head out of their ass and start acting like men. This is your only option. Literally your only option. This is the empowering message. Anybody who tells you anything other than that, who tries to tell you, no, you don't have control over your life, you don't have control over your circumstances, it's everyone else's fault, you just got to wait until daddy comes home, Red Caesar's going to save you, just sit around and wait for him, he's going to give you a job. These people are doing you a disservice. This is the hyperfeminization of society. That is the devouring mother. The devouring mother doesn't just speak through women. The devouring mother speaks to young men through other men who are preying on them. And when they give you this message of explaining to you why you're a victim of all these corrupt institutions in society, why you feel justified in your grievances and you should dwell on all of your grievances and just stew on them all the time and just seethe every day and get pissed off at everybody else because you don't have the life that you want, go back to that other tweet. You're not taking up the mantle of your station in life. You can complain all you want about how, the economy's fucked up and you can't get a job and you get discriminated against and yada, yada, yada. And you're doing this, you're posting this on a fucking smartphone within which you have access to all the wisdom in the world.
Yeah, but like the sum of all human knowledge ever at your fingertips.
Yes. Your ancestors, the ones who lived in the stable, like functional civilization, yeah, they didn't know what air conditioning was. They rode horses. There was the street stank of horse shit. They lived in tiny little houses, multiple children to a room. I don't see you trying to live like that. You're complaining that I can't buy a house. Yeah, it sucks that you can't buy a house. It sucks that it's hard. It's not that you can't buy a house. It's that you can't buy a house in the way that you've been taught how to buy a house. So you're sitting around dwelling on and seething about all of the reasons why you've been victimized. This is literally just the same thing that pisses you off about the shit libs. It's just it's wearing a right-wing veneer.
As Ryan Isaac points out with his rather salient comment, you have a smartphone where you can see jacked woman respecter with no shirt. That's right.
Exactly. So what are someone in here asked about the what are the chuds? TK says most incels just need to not be fat spurgs. Yeah, right. And you know what? You could even be a fat spurg and be happily married with 10 children.
Yeah.
Just look at Cooper.
Look at me.
Midwit Beef Theology said, "The fuck is a chud?" So do us a favor, define the chuds and give us your thoughts on them, because I know you have some thoughts.
Define the chuds. Okay, let me look up a definition. I wasn't expecting that I'd have to be a dictionary today. Chud is like, it's just one of those things I know. Like, I don't know definition. Chud is like the right wing Twitter spurg, our guys, the chuds.
It's I'm trying to find the origin of it. Oh yeah, so Chapo Trap House was the origin of it.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a person who's on the political right or who holds socio-political views seen as reactionary. So the Chapo Trap House people started using it to like derogatorily refer to like right-wing guys online, essentially. And then the right-wing guys online started self-identifying with it. Like, yeah, that's right, I'm a chud. So like it's essentially, that's the gist of it. But it's like a particular personality of right-wing guy posting online.
Look up the picture. Pull it up right now.
The Chud Jack?
Yeah. This is the guy. And you'll know exactly, just by the look of the fucking soy jack, you'll know exactly what we're talking about.
There you go. There's Chud Jack. This one here, you'll probably see this one quite a bit. They're they're very serious people. I wonder what the original model was for the Chud Jack. So they're like the guys that we're responding to are really like those are the, like when the Chapo Trap House people are describing the chuds, they have an image. It's kind of like an updated version of like the hillbillies or rednecks or something like that.
It's kind of like a incel kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's in there.
So there's this particular category of people to whom the chud meme is actually applicable. So like it's just like right-wing online posters in general are chuds to Chapo Trap House. And then right-wing posters online have just said, yeah, that's right, we're chuds. But then that meme that's in their mind that they're attributing to all right-wing posters when they use chud, there's an actual guy that's like that. So what are your thoughts on that actual guy? You said you don't like him.
Yeah, I don't like him. I don't like him, and here's why. It's not that I disagree per se with the worldview or on any particular idea or issue or anything of that sort. It's the attitude that drives me insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't know, kind of like these dudes who are like spurging out about Alex and the guys who hate women and they hate the blacks and they hate the Jews and they hate this and they hate that and everything sucks and their whole existence is defined in terms of like a web of negative relationships to all the things they don't like. That's them. That's their personality. It's really nihilistic. But it's just, I find it annoying. Yeah, it's that right there. It's kind of like the theory cell kind of guys. They're just okay. How many more like different ways do we have to come up with describing, you know, the malaise of modernity or whatever? You've got like we know what the problems are, guys. We get it. So coming up with more more ways to discuss the problems of modernity, and like, oh, I'm going to come at it from this angle now. Like, you're not doing anything. So there's that. There's the impotence. There's the attitude. It's really nihilistic. It's really bitchy, really like naggy woman kind of energy. Just going to sit there and pick things apart.
Yeah, it's just critique with nothing productive associated with it. And it takes politically, it takes different forms. You get the libertarian version of this, where everything is the state, blah blah blah, the state, overthrow the state, and Capistan in your head. Then you have like the boomer con sort of version of this, where everything's the Democrats, everything's the liberals, they're just ruining everything, yada yada yada. Then you have
the bourgeois, and the capitalist, and everything. Yeah.
Yes.
You got the billionaires.
Yes, or the blacks, or the corporations, or the bankers, or the like. If your identity and everything that you talk about is defined by your resentment toward some particular class of people who has wronged you or your people, you are a lib. This is the defining feature of libness. And it's not even like identifying with your resentment.
Right, and it's not even like these people have actually like wronged you per se. It's just like you have this, you're operating like a woman. You have this perceived wrongness inflicted upon you. I don't know. Go outside, dude. I don't know what to say to these dudes. Like, okay. And their attitude, I find their attitude in general really counterproductive. And it's like kind of pushing okay, I can think of, for example, I don't think anybody in our Discord would shy away from being called a chud. I guess I'd consider myself a chud as well. Just, I don't make the meme my identity, but,
This is actually the title of the show, Revenge of the Chuds. There's a twist here at the end where I'm going to show you guys what the Revenge of the Chuds can be, but continue.
I was thinking, like, okay, there's a lot of, in the King Pill Discord, there's a lot of jokes about a certain tribe that are had. And, normally this is kind of fun. We had one guy who's been one of the OGs from when the King Pill Discord was started like 3 years ago or something like that, who, in part, was of, at least as far as heritage is concerned, part of that tribe. And then we noticed recently that he was no longer in the Discord. So I hit him up to be like, hey, did like something happen? Did you get booted when we re-updated the Discord or anything like that? And he's like, nah, man, like, big fan of the show, like you guys and all that, but I'm just kind of getting tired of it. Like all the constant 24/7 anti-Jew jokes. He's like, I'm not like pearl clutching or anything like that, but come on, it's just getting old. It's getting old. So now you have this guy who is a high value individual part of our community and has been for several years, and then we got some of the chuds in there. It's constant, guys. It's constant. Can you stop? Maybe we'll just make a channel or a thread. It's like dump everything in here.
Yeah,
contain it here, so that it's not just.
I know exactly what we're gonna call it too. Yeah. I'm not gonna say that word on here, but I know exactly what we're gonna call it.
Something chamber. Maybe we'll do that. We'll make a chamber, but we'll make a chamber where you can go in and talk about, and you can get on, and you can just post all your memes, whatever, and then I'll mute it and never look at it because I'm getting tired of it. It gets old. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying is like, it's good to recognize these things. I don't disagree with you in principle that this is an issue or, maybe this person's an issue or these groups of people can be are kind of an issue. I get it. We're on the same page there. But it's all you guys talk about. It's like the same problem I have with doomers.
And
Stop.
these they
Stop.
overlap big time too. The doomer and
Right.
yeah.
Well, and then they turn on the women, and it's like the beginning of her tweet. What did it say? What was the beginning of her tweet? It was something like, how did she phrase it? Pull it up real quick.
Right here.
Where you're raging against like liberal white women or whatever.
Oh yeah. Share screen. She said, making the uniting force on the right, quote, sexual resentment against white women is going to tank this movement.
Right. Well, and it's also funny. What's also funny is the chuds are not too happy with things like race mixing. But when, white women suck and you hate white women and they suck and they're your enemy and they suck and you hate them and they suck and they're really stupid and they're subhuman and stuff like that. What do you think you're doing, man? You're just going to reinforce that. You don't like that thing? You don't like race mixing or whatever? Maybe stop pushing all the women to a different camp. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You guys are just so good at shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah. And when Cooper talked to me about this particular guy,
why won't I name them? The Jews. That's who I'm talking about.
It's TK. He's just memeing.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at you, TK. You're one of them, dude. You need to tone it down a bit. It's getting a little old.
So I was the one who noticed that this particular. And we're not trying to make this whole show about this one guy, but like, I have mixed feelings on it because, like, on one hand, just buck up, kind of like, yeah, you don't like it, but at the same time, like, you don't have to. I'm not going to force you to sit there if you don't like it. Then, whatever. If I was in a place where I thought about this for myself, I was like, if I was in a group where all they did nonstop was just like shit on Orthodox people, then would I stay there? And I was like, I wouldn't leave because of that reason. I see plenty of it on Twitter, and it doesn't really bother me. And it just, I don't know, maybe I'm wired.
But if it was constant 24/7, you'd be at least like, yeah, okay. If this is what everything's going to devolve down to, like,
right. And I can understand.
It's not that you're getting offended or pearl clutching, but you're just kind of like, okay.
This is part of the reason why I've thought about this a lot because I've been part of other groups where this sort of thing has happened. One of the reasons why we decided we wanted to start on being a lot more intentional about focusing the group on people doing things productively. It's not just a bitch session. We want people to actually be starting to focus on productive things and moving it forward, because these types of groups can they'll stagnate after a while. And there's undeniably plenty of things to bitch about. There's no question that there's lots of things to bitch about.
I think that might be just like I think that might be, if I were to boil everything down to one thing, I think that might just be it. Is I'm just tired of people bitching about things all the time.
Yeah, right.
Stop.
Yeah. And this just happens to be the thing that everyone's bitching about. But if it was something else, then it would be equally annoying. Like, there's such a huge deficit of actual productive male activity right now. This is why things are the way they are, because men have been conditioned to stop being productive. And now they're unproductively sitting around counting all of the reasons why they're unproductive, rather than accepting those things as reality and figuring out, how am I going to be productive within this reality? Again, your ancestors could have sat around and bitched about why cars didn't exist yet.
You know what's funny? I remember I was talking to my priest once, and he does not have a very high view of young guys on the internet, especially Orthodox young guys on the internet. And I think he's 100% right. But in any case, he said, back in the day, young men, they'd go to, they got all this energy and frustration and stuff like that. They'd go to a bar and they'd get drunk and they'd get into a fight and then they'd go home. They would take it out. They get in a fight and they get it out of their system. That's how they dealt with it. Now it's that same phenomenon, but it's just kind of moved into the parasocial realm where we're doing it on, you get the guys who want, debate me, bro. You got the guys just arguing and screeching on Twitter all day. It's the same phenomenon. And I think you would be better off just going and getting in a bar fight. It'd be better for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, I've got a whole long rant about how the attempt to remove violence from society actually causes worse violence, because if people could go out and just go out behind a school and beat the shit out of each other and get it out of your system and move on, or even dueling. Like, if dueling is a thing that could conceivably happen in your society, people are going to behave themselves a lot more. Being able to have little micro instances of violence as an outlet to constrain larger violence is actually a peacemaking function within society.
At least that seems like a much more masculine way to deal with all of this pent up frustration. Or instead of this bitching, you guys sound like you're just bitching. Stop.
Random username $5 super chat. He says you wouldn't pay money to be in a group that shits on EO people. Be real.
Yeah. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, probably not. Like, I mean, it would depend on what else is there in the group, but like,
And it depends how much I'm paying.
Right? Yeah, right. Bill Hicks asked how to get into the Discord. Kingpill.com. Will you can sign up there. So I said that the title of the show, Revenge of the Chuds. This is not just because we don't want to fall into the exact same trap ourselves, where we're just bitching about people bitching and unproductively complaining about people unproductively complaining. We actually want to provide you something productive. There's two different. Okay. More tangibly, if you want like specific tangible things to get involved in, then join the Kingpill Discord. We're going to keep things a little bit more not quite as targeted because we're on the show, and we're going to give you some of the resources to go run down yourself. You got to go put in the time, go run it down yourself, exercise your noggin, get the noggin jogging, as they say, and start educating yourself on some of these things. And then if you decide you want to go further, you want to get more personally involved with stuff, whatever, hit us up, let us know, we can talk to you. I want to introduce you to two guys who, if you need your brain rearranged, if you are tired of sitting around in this depressing malaise where you're doom scrolling or just like
you want your brain rearranged, take some ayahuasca.
Right, yeah, no, don't do that. We should make it very clear we do not advocate that you go take ayahuasca.
Or any psychedelics, okay?
Yes,
we don't want you communing with demons. Don't do that.
I wonder if I could pull that tweet up real quick. It's good
You can
enough.
Google it. It's on Google Images.
What's his name?
Landshark?
Landshark, thank you.
Right.
One of the best posters.
Never misses.
Mm-hmm. There's something that he definitely doesn't do on Twitter, and that is impotently bitch and complain about stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. Landshark writes. He says, quote, ayahuasca is insane because it appears to be one of the most legitimately dangerous drugs with the potential to gigafry your brain, but is exclusively taken by literal turbo normies who unironically want to like heal internalized racism trauma and basically get one-shotted by it. Literally the most spiritually inept people in existence having their little lib brains rearranged by some Mesoamerican 6D demon who makes them quit their email job, divorce their boyfriend or girlfriend, and become a traveling circus stripper or whatever. The most amazing thing about Landshark is look at these numbers. 11,000 views on this tweet, and he's locked. He's private. He is always, as long as I've known about him for years, his account is locked. So you have to follow him. I followed him. I requested to follow him, and it took probably 3 months maybe before he accepted it. So I'm one of the esteemed who actually gets to follow Landshark.
Oh, I've been following him longer than you.
Yeah, probably. So, okay. If you want your brains rearranged out of the malaise of the existing world, you've gotten tired of the doom scrolling, you've gotten tired of the, listening to your regular old podcasts where people are just kind of impotently complaining and whining about stuff, then we have two guys for you to go deep dive. And yes, I mean that as a euphemism. Go to YouTube, and first guy, we've talked about him before, Alex Hormozy. Go look up Alex Hormozy's videos and just start watching them. His business model is freaking brilliant. Just from an internet marketer, like online business person, like from that perspective, the way he's actually structured his business is absolutely fucking brilliant. Because what he's done is he has given you this channel and the one that I show you next, you will struggle to find more tangible, practical quality advice for how to carve yourself out an economic foothold than these guys. Literally, his entire business model is he owns acquisition.com. He acquires and turbo boosts companies with over $1 million that are worth over $1 million. So what he wants to do is equip the entire general public with the tools to build a company that he could buy. So he gives you the tools for how to, from absolute ground zero, how to start your own business, how to actually be a businessman. In a really frustrating, you're deep throating two guys now, Beefaroni. There's this thing with the modern internet age, a lib holdover thing that has penetrated our world as well, and that is this suspicion and cynicism toward entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
you know what they used to call entrepreneurs? Lords. That was the entrepreneur in the feudal age. Now, anybody can start as an entrepreneur and they can work their way up to that state. We've been talking about patronage. There's lots of guys who are angry that their patrons have abandoned them. But here's the neat little secret. You can become a patron yourself. And all of the energy that you've been piling into coming up with all of the reasons why it's not your fault that your life sucks, you can take all of that energy and you can pour it into something that will be extremely productive for you. Again, his name is Alex Hormozi. Alex Hormozi will, even if you don't, like, if you're financially set, you got a good career, whatever, you don't want to do anything else, maybe we got some of the older guys here watching us. Maybe this wouldn't be right for you from like a career standpoint, but just start watching his videos and inhabiting his mindset. One of the most beautiful things, I've mentioned this on the show before, one of the most beautiful things about the online entrepreneur culture is their political ambivalence. They don't really give a shit about the political system, what's happening, whatever. They're like, this is out of my control. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm going to take what's in my control and absolutely maximize it. And maybe someday down the road, I'll actually be in a position where maybe I could do something about the political system. This is the age-old human model. The fact that there's like such a huge gap between the haves and the have-nots right now, you can bridge that gap. Now, there's this like cynicism toward this sort of thing. Like, I have an online business and do marketing and sales and all that stuff. I have to figure out how to write stuff or how to talk to people, or I have to like be creative economically. And this sounds like a scam, and maybe I'm going to get ripped off. And this is just, these guys are hucksters and all this sort of this cynicism that's been bred into people is there specifically because it kneecaps you and prevents you from ever actually going down this road where you can begin to build generational wealth. This is your obligation as a man. Your obligation as a man is to provide for your children in the way that your parents did not provide for you. And if your parents provided for you very well, your job is to do a better job with your kids. And the worse that things get, the more the onus is on you to sack up and get to work. We have the tools at our disposal now that make this easier and more straightforward than ever. Again, your ancestors, their option was like go cut trees down or something and work at the lumber mill for their entire life. Maybe if they were lucky, they might be able to ride a horse for a couple of days and travel to another state. There was benefits to their life that would be great to have. But nobody wants to go live the life that they actually had to get those benefits. They want to maintain all the creature comforts and be able to go on the internet and watch your TV shows and travel around the world or even just like have ice in your refrigerator or your freezer.
You know, being a lumberjack wouldn't be so bad.
Hmm?
I
Now,
remember.
do you want to be a lumberjack that sleeps on a dirt floor with one blanket and you have like one pair of clothes, you have shoes that you wear until the soles are gone, and you I don't know, you get the point.
Well, you did.
Yeah, do you like having running hot water?
Yeah, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember growing up out in the sticks, small town Michigan, and I remember from a young age splitting firewood
Mm-hmm.
for hours because that's how we heated the house in the winter, splitting firewood. And
Good for your character.
I remember that being pure zen.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of get lost in the rhythm of it.
Hmm.
Whack, whack, whack.
Hmm.
Take me back, man. That's when life was much more simple.
Uh-huh. Okay, so guy number one, Alex Hormozy. Again, I'll show you. He's very hard to miss. Alex Hormozy, follow him on Twitter, follow him out on YouTube. He does lots of shorts. He's, I'm telling you, I've spent a long time in internet, digital marketing, email marketing, sales. Nobody has the quality of content. I've seen guys courses that they charge $25,000 for, that people pay $25,000 for, that completely transforms their business. Yes, this is a real thing. I've seen it happen, and his content that he gives out for free is better than theirs. Even just for your own perspective on life. Like being the type of person who someone could pick you up, handcuff you, chloroform you, put you in a body bag, fondle your jennies, ship you across the world, drop you off in Thailand and give you a smartphone. And by the end of the month, you'd be worth like six figures or something just because you know how to work the system. Whatever the system is in front of you, just figure out how to game the system. And that's what that's how this guy and his ilk, that's how they think. You can sit around and you can critique and you can figure out all the reasons why the system is broken and how the system got broken. This is really women's work. That's what the women are supposed to do. The men are supposed to, whatever the system is in front of them, doesn't care what army is at your gates, you got to go fight the army. Doesn't care what pestilence or plague is coming down on you or why it's happening, you got to go fight the plague. This is the man's job. The man's job is to go fight against the barbarians outside the city walls while the woman nests within them, and you've got to give her the nest so she can nest in. WW says, most important things Hormozy recommends are the assumed close and customer referrals. Yeah. Like so if you want to build a digital business, this is the guy I would tell you to go start with. Just start consuming his content. If you have it in you to be successful, if you don't like where you're at right now and you have it in you to be successful, and you watch, say, 50 videos of his, and you aren't inspired and champing at the bit after that, then you might as well just go climb into your coffin now. Other guy. Now, this is a guy that I just came across, and honestly, the barrier to entry to get into this guy's thing here is probably a lot even lower than Hormozy. I just stumbled upon this guy at the end of this last week. His name's Pace Morby. He specializes, he's a real estate investor. He specializes in something called creative finance. And I've been working in real estate for the last couple of years. Been a real estate agent, representing buyers, going through deals, transactions, building out a bit of a network. And I stumbled upon this guy, and oh my God, he's doing this. He's basically like the Alex Hormozy of real estate. Pace Morby is his name. Go watch his YouTube videos. They're all, if you have a what would you call it? Like a sort of that like gut reflex where you cringe with the the stuff that they do clearly for the sake of the algorithm. You know, like the guy's a professional social media. He has a professional social media team and everything. So all of the bright colors and the names and everything, just look past it. Just focus on the content. For me personally, I'm kind of a nerd. I enjoy all of the stuff that he's doing, all the marketing stuff and everything. But just start watching some of this guy's videos. He's breaking it down Barney style. Yeah, Jeff, we were just talking about this guy in the VC last night. I want to be, as I describe this, for whatever legal reasons or what have you, go with any of this at your own risk. You do your own thing. You're a man. You're responsible for what you do. What I'm saying is, as someone who's been working in the housing industry and working with investors, I could tell the stuff that he's talking about is 100% legit. And again, as with Alex Hormozy, he's giving this stuff away for free. He has stuff that he'll charge you for, as he should, because it's worth charging for. And there's a reason we charge for the King Pill Discord. And we charge a lot. Because we want it to be a filtering mechanism. We want the people who come and get involved to be invested, to not just be looky-loos. But this isn't a how to invest in real estate podcast. I'm not your advisor. Just go consume the content. If you're smarter than the average bear, just start listening to what he's saying, how he's describing, how you can get involved. You don't need a real estate license. You don't even necessarily need a lot of money. Again, you're responsible for your own life. You're responsible for paying for what needs to be paid for. Don't do anything stupid. Don't go throw money after something you don't understand. What I'm saying is, if you don't understand it, you can go get virtually all the understanding that you're going to need from consuming his. I've watched probably 30 hours worth of his videos over the last, 4 days, something like that. And the content is good. If anything else, again, you can start picking up on the energy that he has, like Alex Hormozy. This indefatigable, going to be successful no matter what, thinking outside the box, solving problems. And when life throws you a curveball, you figure out how to hit it. Because that's all you can do. You can't be the batter coming up to the plate and oh, he threw me a curveball. I was expecting a fastball. Life's so unfair. No, just go get good at hitting curveballs. Right now, we live in to torture the analogy here, we live in a culture and a society that's just firing junk at us all the time. So we got to get good at hitting junk. And approaching life this way, this is how you can begin to build generational wealth. And I think there's a ton of crossover with what he's doing and what we can be doing as our guys to begin taking our country back. This is the revenge of the chuds. When the chuds stop wasting their time bitching about women on the internet, and they start being actual men who take ownership of their situation, accept the world for what it is right now, and begin building capital. If you want to be really successful with these sorts of things, you're going to need a network of people. You can come join our network. You can go find some other network. There's lots of networks out there. But you have to start knowing people. It's cheesy, but your network is your net worth. Start developing networks. He's got some pretty clever things that he's doing where he's connecting people with the networks. Join his free Facebook group. More than worthwhile. Just start studying this whole industry. It's something that you can get into if you want to. I've been in it for a while. I'm getting into it more. We were talking with it on the King Pulled voice chat last night. We might start doing some of this stuff together. And I think this is what our guys, we don't need new podcasts. We don't need new explanations or new theory selling or new whatever. I mean, I've already got my podcast, so we don't need any more. The most important podcast is already here. Don't be starting more podcasts. Go do something productive. But there is no more valuable asset out there than land. Land and the houses that people live in. If our guys completely took over the real estate industry, we would direct the world. I'm not saying that needs to be the goal, but it could be.
The great thing about owning a shit ton of real estate is that even if the market crashes or something like that, the houses are already built,
Uh-huh.
It's
Someone's going to have to live in them.
Right. Once you've already you've got a house, you built it. Even if you funded that by fractional reserve lending or something kind of sketchy, and the whole system goes belly up or whatever, well, you have the house, it's built. So that's a hard asset. It's tangible. It's not, ethereal.
I want to share a let's see, someone said what was the channel name? The guy's name's Pace Mowbray. PACEMOBRY. I want to share something that I was talking with Cooper about earlier today. I joined his Facebook group. There's people that are posting different deals and connecting with people and everything in it. And I just have been kind of lurking.
Shut up, Bill. You're harshing my mellow, dude.
What's he saying?
So property confiscation is also real. Shut up. I don't like your attitude. You're making me look wrong in front of everybody. Why are you doing that?
Where do I never use Facebook. This is so
Don't
annoying.
ever disagree with me again. Ban you.
I can find it on my phone a lot faster than I can find it on there. I'm not going to share the screen because it's in a private group, and I don't want I'm not trying to make an enemy of the guy. But there was a particular. Oh, come on! I thought I saved it and I didn't. I'm dumb. Okay, so there's this particular deal that I wanted to read to you guys because it gives you an idea of where our mind is at. And I know I did this earlier, so I've just got to scroll for a minute until I find it. So what Pace specializes in is something called creative finance, which is really, it's nothing new. He's just done a really good job of popularizing it. And the real estate market is a lot more flexible than you've been conditioned to believe. How the hell am I not finding this? Double tree. I wanted to give the actual numbers. Okay, here we go. Found it. All right. So this guy is an investor in multifamily and hotels. He says, creative finance absolutely works. I wanted to walk you all through a successful large creative finance deal for a 200-room hotel that we completed recently. Hotels are basically short-term rentals on steroids. This is a value-add deal where we had the seller fully renovate the hotel before we took over and change the brand from a Holiday Inn to a Hilton Doubletree. Due to the higher brand, we'll be able to charge at least $20 per night per room more. In addition, the hotel was poorly managed and was running at under 30% occupancy, whereas the market is performing at 61% occupancy. We're projecting to increase revenue by 2.5 times over 5 years. We were able to negotiate incredible terms for seller financing, 5.75% for 8 years, with the first 3 years interest only, and the first year at 2.875 interest only. So they're paying interest only for the first 3 years. In the first year, the rate is 2.875. This is on a seller note. If you're trying to buy a hotel traditionally using a bank, you're looking at 9 to 10% interest on your mortgage in today's market. So this is the summary of the deal. The purchase price of the deal was $16.2 million. The closing costs, including legal fees, franchise, pre-marketing, due diligence, $800K in working capital and reserves, totaled out to $1.45 million. So the total cost is $17.65. The seller financed amount is $12.2 million. So the seller is going to hold a note for $12.2 million. The down payment raised from investors is $5.5 million. So they're taking the down payment from the investors, $5.5 million, giving that straight to the seller. Seller gets $5.5 million cash right up front. Then the seller is going to hold a seller note for the remaining $12.2 million. The projected valuation at exit is $23.8. The projected average annual cash flow over 5 years is over $650K annually. Their investors are projected to make over 20% in annualized returns over a 5-year holding period completely passively. So this is one of the types of deals that they specialize in is seller financing and how to make a seller financing deal appealing to a seller. You have to target the right type of seller and you have to structure the deal properly. But when you do it, you can get into pretty significant deals like this with no money out of your pocket. You can buy a house with no money out of your pocket if you have the right network of people and you target the right types of sellers. You want distressed sellers, sellers who are either pre-foreclosure or someone who has an expired listing who effectively has no equity in their house. For someone who hasn't sold a house before, if you list a house on the MLS and you sell it that way, you're going to pay probably 10% of the sale price of the house in closing costs. You, the seller. You're the one who's going to pay the commissions for both the seller's agent and the buyer's agent. You're going to pay the closing costs, by and large. So figure 10%. So 3 or 4 years ago, when rates were really low, it's even less than that. When rates were really low, there's a lot of people who got into houses with really low rates with virtually no money down. And then now rates are really high. For whatever reason, maybe they lost their job, or for whatever reason, they can't keep up with the payments, or they want to move for some reason, or this was a second property and now they don't want it. They need to cash it out because they need the liquidity, but they can't sell the house because they put very little down in the first place, and the market is kind of trailed off. So they have no equity. Selling the house outright for what they would need to sell it for is a non-starter. And what the market will actually bear for it is a non-starter for them as well, because they would have to stroke a check and they don't have the cash to stroke the check in the first place. If you get a seller in that situation, then there's a number of different options you can give to them. You can do seller finance. You could do something called subject to. That's a big rabbit hole. If you want to go down the subject to rabbit hole, I would advise it. When you structure a deal this way, if you have a network of investors or private money lenders, you can get investors to come in and put the cash into the deal for you. And you just structure the contract such that you get paid out, you cash flow the property, you pay out your investor, you pay out the seller. And you could do this in a way that makes a lot of sense for you, for them. It's really pretty straightforward. It's just people don't normally think of this way because they go into the buying and selling homes track, and they just kind of just drive down the tracks that have been laid in front of them, but they don't really think outside the box. And he's put together a community of people who are all doing this sort of thing. And that's the big hack. The big hack is having a bunch of people that you can trust who are all thinking about doing it in the same way. So what's interesting is the cynical person looks at this and they say, oh, well, how long is that market going to last? Whatever. They get all these people doing it and there'll be nobody else who can do it. And well, no, actually, having more people doing it actually makes it easier to do it for you.
Right.
The service that he has provided is he's popularized it, which builds out the infrastructure to make it possible. Because if you're going to do these types of creative deals, again, don't do something stupid. Don't just go throw money into something you don't understand. If you're going to do these types of deals, you've got to make sure that all of your T's are dotted and I's are crossed. Because if you don't, you can get yourself fucked up pretty bad really quick. But if you get them all your ducks in a row, then this makes as much sense as buying a house does in general. Your mileage may vary. But what he's done is he's created this as a trend where now you can actually get title companies that know how to navigate a deal like this. They know what to look out for. You can get networks of hard money lenders, the people who are familiar with this. They know how these sorts of deals are structured, and they know how to invest properly and how to set it up so that your interests are both protected. You have a big community of people who are aware of this and they know how to work with it. You have payment servicing or payment processors, loan servicing companies. Once they have an awareness of how this works, they can begin building the infrastructure around it, which then allows people with very little to invest with to begin to actually get their toe in the door and start stair-stepping their way up. There's a lot of different methods that you can do. They're all legit. You just have to do it. And you have to not be a retard when you do it. There's opportunities out there that can be had. I was talking with Cooper about this earlier, and he said, he brought up, tell me what you said with the, like the old like machine shops and stuff. Remember your little rant about that?
Yeah. What in particular?
So okay, so you said there's all these machine shops out there like that. Every machine shop is run basically the same way. You have the old man who owns it. He's never around. He just strokes the checks. And you've got the one employee who's like the most senior guy. He runs the whole show. He does all the purchasing. He does all the payroll, all the HR, whatever.
And maybe he's
And
not the most senior. Maybe he's just like, he's a family friend or something like that. So he basically runs the business as if it's his own business. He does all of the running it. And the old guy is just the guy who signs the checks, who owns the business, who can't get out because one, he can't find anyone, who's young to buy it, who has the capital and the know-how to run a machine shop because no one knows how to do anything anymore. So there's that. So basically, every machine shop is kind of run that way. But at least out here in the Midwest, is you go into there, and it's like, yeah, it's you've got the employees, which are just mostly people who just live in the area, just guys who have lived in the area, grown up in the area. They didn't have any opportunity because they live out in fucking buttfuck nowhere, Michigan, coming from a trailer trash family, and they work in this machine shop. They're gonna die in this machine shop. That's their life, and they're fine with that. They're fine going to the, getting a drink, or going to work, going and getting a drink, going home to their trailer, repeat. And they're fine with a simple life like that. But everybody who works in those shops are kind of like, that they're a little stressed out. Like there's at least this kind of like expectation in the air or this uncertainty in the air wherein it's like, okay, right now this business is owned by old guy who is signing all of our checks and paying for all the material and making everything run. Old guy's gonna die soon, and there's no one taking this over. So,
which means either the company's going to die or Global Corp is going to come in and start cramming HR trainings down our throat.
Right. There's either that or the estate, maybe the kids, if they're not taking it over, they just, liquidate all the assets, sell it off, and go their merry way. And now you have this little town that had at least a little bit of culture and everybody knows each other. It's high trust. It's poor, but it's high trust. Everyone knows each other. They help each other out. And it's just like the only industry in the town is just gone. And this is how you end up with fentanyl towns, just burned out rust towns. Is like you had industry there was a community built up around the industry went under or left, and now everyone's just left high and dry. In any case, so where were you going to go with that?
So in this kind of situation, wouldn't it be great if it was possible for a network of our guys to show up in these little towns and be able to put together offers for these kinds of companies, go source these companies, find them, figure out what sort of situation they're in, kind of suss them out, see if they're a good candidate, and then present an offer that's structured somewhat akin to the one that I just described to you guys.
And you can use these same. You could throw in the stuff that Sean Whelan was talking about when he was on our show, like his exit planning and stuff that would allow owners of companies to be able to sell and leave and not get raped by taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And still be alive long enough to kind of help with the transition, go on their merry way, and then you take that one employee or whatever who is running the shop anyway on behalf of the old guy, put him in charge or make him a partner or something, give him a raise, and you don't even have to run the business. They already know what they're doing.
Now, one thing that you would need to take over something like this would be the recognition of the value in the company staying exactly as it is right now.
Right.
The way Global Corp operates is they come in and they're like, okay, how can we overhaul this to squeeze every last little cent possible out of it? And they sacrifice the culture and the community on the altar of squeezing every last little penny out of it. So the line we have to walk is, how do we build generational wealth for ourselves while protecting our communities? You have to recognize that wealth isn't going to strictly be in the dollars. It's also going to be in the value of taking a company like this, keeping its legacy alive, but having our guys come in and buy these companies, buy them and protect our interests in this way, protect these local economies, protect these local people and their jobs, take care of them, provide for them, become their patron. It takes coordination. It takes pooling resources, creating networks, working cooperatively, figuring out how to make these sorts of things happen. But these sorts of things can be done. And this pursuing this kind of approach.
Plus, the other benefit is that you have hard assets, and it's not just real estate, but it's like commercial real estate that has a whole bunch of like productive capacity.
Athanasius
that's tied to a real economy, like making real things.
Athanasius has dropped the Discord. I'd like to take a look at some of these shops. We're speaking with this particular thing with the machine shop idea. We're just speaking hypothetically. We don't actually have.
I know some shops that I could be like, I can go there. Maybe give them a call. I don't know. I know of some shops, but.
And this could be, those guys did it for a hotel. You could do it for a machine shop. You could do it for RV park. You could do it for just about anything. You could buy businesses. You could buy commercial property. You could buy residential property. You could buy cars. Using these creative finance terms, you could buy just about anything. It's just a matter of figuring out how to structure it properly. What we're saying is this is the direction that we're heading. We're starting to figure out how to make this sort of thing happen ourselves. It's got to start with someone. We're figuring our way through this sort of thing. But we want to plant these seeds for other people too. You can go on you can come try to be a part of what we're doing and go that route. You can go start your own thing. We're trying to put the resources in front of you so you could start thinking along these lines. Because this is going to be a process. For the CHUDS to start buying up America using these sorts of creative processes, the first thing is the CHUDS are going to have to believe that it's possible. And then they're going to have to start connecting with the other CHUDS who can make it happen. Because I know that there's people in the audience. There's some people in the audience who don't have the money, but they've got the hustle. They've got the willingness. They've got the desire to develop the know-how. Maybe they have some of them know-how. There's other people who might have the money to get into this sort of thing, but they don't have the desire or the hustle or the time or the whatever. These people need to talk to each other. We have the internet at our disposal, and we need to start using it productively. Get the old guys with the money talking to the young guys with the hustle. The old guys funding the young guys' hustle and both of them collectively benefiting from it. This is how we begin rebuilding generational wealth. Because you know what? If you're a young guy who's upset about being single and feel like your whole society has left you behind, if you start buying real estate, figuring out how to navigate the tax code, traveling around, getting to know the world around you, and you start developing capital for yourself, you're going to be much more appealing to marry. And if you can get someone to marry you, you can make some babies. Then you have someone to actually bequeath that capital to. Then you have a future to build for. But the paradox here is that in order to discover that future, you have to first discover that future. You have to be able to recognize that it's actually possible, that it actually can be achieved. Anyways, we're at 2.5 hours. Longest show I think that we've done in ever, a long time at least. $5 super chat.
No, we did like didn't we do a 2.5 show? 2.5 hour show? Like just last week?
We did. We came close. Maybe we did. Maybe we did actually. I thought we just got past the 2 hour mark. We might have gone past 2.5 hours. Javier Oliva says, listen to Charles Haywood's stream on how he bought his business. Very interesting. Yes, there you go. Now, I can hear the person saying, well, yeah, Charles Haywood was already a successful M&A lawyer, and so he had a lot of capital to work with. Yes, he did. That means he could take a different approach. If you don't have a lot of capital, you could still figure out how to make these things happen. If you want to know more, you can either join the Discord, and I'll give you the breakdown there. I'll talk in more detail about it in there. Or you can just go to Pace Mowbray, because literally all I'm doing is just telling you what he told me, and then I independently verified through my own awareness of the industry. $5 super chat from random username. He says, King-pilled Bitcoin mining, quote, power grid stabilization facility. Yeah. I mean, like, I would love nothing more than to just get a shitload of guys in our Discord who are all ready to go balls deep in this kind of thing. They're ready to build. There's so many different ways that we can build. There's so many ways we can take over towns. We can accumulate significant capital that we can put toward rebuilding our civilization.
And we
just got to start working together. Say again?
You could make me king.
That's right.
Ruled by me.
Ruled by the shirtless one. Alrighty, guys. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for showing up and entertaining us for a little while. Once again, the
Go
Discord
to
link.
kingpill.com.
If you'd like to join, kingpill.com. Sign up there. Hop in there. I might be able to hop on the voice chat later tonight. I've got another phone call I got to do, so maybe not tonight. But you guys are more than welcome to start your own voice chat and talk with each other. There's lots of different channels you can dig into.
Start doing that, guys. Like, go talk to each other in the voice chat. You don't have to wait for me or Matt to start a VC.
Yeah, right.
But you can talk to each other. You don't need Daddy and his husband.
Yeah, we give you permission. There you go.
You have our blessing. Go ahead and talk to each other.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at RealKingPilled. Join the KingPilled Discord at kingpilled.com. And like the show, like the stream, share the show, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Subscribe to us on your podcatcher of choice if that's how you like to do it. Give us a 5-star review and a rating, or 5-star rating and a review. And we will hit you up again here soon. See you guys.